Hello. Um, I want to give you, this video is to basically give you guys a start at how to do a sensitivity analysis on the financial models that you've been building so far. This is going to happen in basically four separate videos. I kind of break it up because I don't want you to have to sit there and watch me go through and do the same thing over and over several times. But bottom line is that this is the first one, and we're going to get started. So, first thing you would want to do is create a new worksheet. So I'm just going to call that sensitivity, if I can spell. All right, and we're starting out that sheet basically with we want to put our assumptions in there. Those are going to be all the things that we've done hard coding on, if you will, in the model. And we're going to put the base value of those assumptions in there. All right. Now, to help us with that, make it a little bit easier, we use a little neat Excel trick. Excel lets you create two copies basically of the same workbook by hitting this new window button. And then you can do an arrange all on those. I'm going to do horizontal. And now I can see the workbook twice. Benefit of that is that I can now click over and basically look at one sheet and be pasting over the other one and see them both at the same time. So quite literally what we're doing is we're just going to start going down the sheets. Every time we see, this is why we color coded them, every time we see a yellow cell in this case, we're going to go ahead and put in what that is, and we might put in that is for year 2 in this case. So that is the number of students on campus. It's a year 2 value. It's 1,000. Okay, make sure I did that right. All right. And then the last step, very important with this, is that now that we have that base, we're actually going to go over to the financial model, and where it's hard coded, you can see it's a hard coded formula. We're going to replace it with whatever that base is. All right. And that way, what will happen is if I change this to say 900, that changes to 900, and the model basically adjusts for it now. So we're going to put back to 1,000 right now. All right. Then we're going to take the next one, which I guess is percent of customers per day. And we have 2 of those, so we have an M3 assumption of, got to fix my formatting so I can see what that is, I guess. Percent, make that a little bigger. Goes from 1% to 20%, so this is 1%. And we'll grab the same thing again, make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. That's the Y2 version. And that one's 20%. Okay, now that we've done them, now we've got to remember to go back and do the setting that equal to that. Setting that equal to that. There you go. And again, you can always test those by doing, well, what happens if I change that to 2? Make sure that it changes it. What happens if I make this 25? Make sure it changes it. Always a good idea to test, but you just have to remember what to put it back to at this point. All right. And we'll continue to go on doing that. You can see you've got several of those. And you're going to do the same thing over and over with all of them. Make sure that you get all of them. Any place that you've hard coded. All right. You also want to make sure that you go over and grab them off of this sheet. So, I don't remember if the 8%, I guess, is being read from the other one. That's why it's not hard coded, so that's fine. But the 10-year term, that's solid. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that. And, of course, if you want to, you can kind of do them in categories. You could do financials here. I can't really spell today. All right, and so you can put that label here, which makes it easy for you to track that. And maybe down here you're going to add a loan category, and that only has this one in it, so that becomes the term. You're going to make that equal 10. And again, you always have to remember, so this is now equal to that. Right? And so now it's a formula, so you might say, oh, I'm going to make a 15-year loan now and see how that changes everything. Set back to 10. There you go. And you got a few over on the valuation where you've got these cost of capital assumptions, so you want to make sure that you pick those up. And the ones that we're gonna use only a couple of metrics. We're gonna use the NPV, and we're gonna use the cost of equity metrics. So those are the ones we care about. So we'll go over and do valuation. See if I can spell that. There we go. We might go again underline bold, and then we may do cost of equity. And that's 15%. And once again, we got to remember to go back over here, set that equal to. All right. So we'll do that. And over here we have cost of capital. Set that equal to. That was, we just have a 10% in there. So now you're going to set that to 10%. Okay, and again, you want to test those, so we might take this to 20, make sure it changes. Take it back. Take this one to maybe 15, make sure it changes. Take it back. All right. So you're going to have those assumptions. The other thing that you're going to do, and you're going to fill out all of these, I'm just sort of giving you those as examples for this sort of base case, all right? The other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to store out over here your metrics. And so we will have our sensitivity metrics, all right? And I'll leave that wide because we're going to do two. We're going to do equity, so the value of equity, and we're going to do NPV. And those are going to be our sensitivity metrics. And you know how I am about keeping everything pretty, so let's see, we'll merge that. We'll put a little box around it, bold it, go ahead and center those, bold box, format painter, there you go, very nice. And here, we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of putting values in here, all we want on this sheet is for it to read what's going on these calculations that we have down below. All right, and so the bottom line with that is that what we're after is we want to be in a situation where we can change values on this page, right, and have it show us how that changes the equity in the NPV. Excuse me. So in that case, we're going to take the formula for value. We're just going to make it equal to this thing over on the sheet. Okay, and we'll go ahead and format that nicely. Again, you know how I am. And we're going to make this one equal to the NPV value over on the sheet. Okay, and I think hopefully we did that right. It's got all of the terminal values and all that on it. Yep, good. Okay, and so we're going to format that with dollars. There we go. And now you can kind of see, let's just say that I changed one of my assumptions and I make this 1200. That changes some of my values, right? Now I'm a little bit curious why it didn't change that one. That may point to that I've hard-coded something that I shouldn't have hard-coded. Let's see. Cost of equity. Those are just the years. We don't care about that. Free cash flows. So here's why that didn't change, and it sort of highlights an error that we made sometime before. Those are hard-coded values of equity for some reason. All right, and what we want them to be is and I just want to make sure that we did all of that right throughout. We want them to not be hard-coded. We want them to be formulas. And so we need to go back over to our financials and make them formulas that pick up the free cash flow to equity instead of being hard-coded. So there we go. All right, so we've now done that. Now, maybe we'll put this back to the 1,000 we had. And if we change it to 1,200 now, we see both of these change. So one of the nice things about doing sensitivity is it will point out to you that you've made errors in something, and so that always helps as well. But the bottom line is that we're gonna now complete. The first thing we got to do is kind of complete filling out all of this stuff, and so I'm gonna stop this video here as sort of step A, if you will, and then we're going to pick up after I've got a little bit more information in here. So hopefully that's helpful to get you